founder and CEO of Wire Wallet. Dave, how you doing today?
Fantastic to be here.
Wonderful. I saw you up on stage. Really remarkable stuff. I love what you're doing with a wallet, making sure that you're bringing something that's usable to the masses, as people like to say, the normies or the regular folks over here in this spot. But tell us a little bit more about what's inspired you to make Wire Wallet and bring it to the people.
So what inspired me is I see the entire financial world going and being transformed by Web3 technology, which is a wonderful thing. But I see so many people that are just utterly frustrated. That I look at the numbers, the statistics that, I mean, I was blown away when, and I've been a tech guy all my life. I've been an engineer. I've been in many different spaces and industries. I've been writing code since I was 10 years old.
Oh, wow.
But I only came really hardcore into the Web3 space within the last 3 years, always having been a fan and, a bit of a Bitcoin hodler. But
okay, so you were involved in purchasing Bitcoin
just a little bit like that, but not exactly, not in the tech. No. I built multiple software businesses. The last one was an enterprise B2B SaaS in the logistics world that to this day powers most of FedEx Ground. So,
oh wow!
But the really cool thing is I've brought that same exact team, that enterprise scale and quality team into Web3 now. And what I saw, a couple of things that happened. I met a group in Bradenton, Florida. I live in Sarasota, Florida now,
West Coast.
They had been wrenching on. They're called Wire Network, and they have been wrenching for nearly 5 years, and they're just starting, and they have some revolutionary new infrastructure for Web3, and I'm an investor in that group, and really so fascinated by the potential and the opportunities of this new infrastructure. So the problem that I love to solve, and I know it's a problem that a lot of people have wanted to solve in terms of how do you bring the masses into Web3, into DeFi, and
how do you make it seamless and easy for them to just seamlessly go in and start participating in this event.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I think you bought some of those engineers. I mean, when you're talking about FedEx, you're talking about efficiency. They want to make sure like just-in-time delivery as efficient as possible. And if you bring that team over, I think that's one of the core values that you can bring, making it simplistic and efficient for people to use.
Exactly. And we did that very thing because a lot of those drivers are, let's just say they're not tech people at all.
No, yeah.
So we were fantastic on, it was mainly a tablet application, but we got to the point where literally a new driver could walk up to the app and just use it.
Okay.
So one of the ways that we tested that was I would actually have my elderly mother, who is the least tech person in the world. And I got to the point where I could hand the thing to her and she's like, oh, I get this. I'm like, we're there. So we have a great deal of experience at simplifying, making that user experience just dead simple. So, and the big problem, again, that I see is that less than 1% of all Web2 users have anything to do with decentralized Web3. And this is my rationale for that. I believe it's because to be a current active Web3 user, you have to be two things, both and. You have to be very technically proficient.
Really, very
proficient. So basically you got to be a super geek, and you have to be very risk tolerant.
Oof.
Both and.
Gotcha.
Right? So conversely, I see that as if we can solve for those two things, if we can make the user experience great and easy for everyone, and if there was a way to take a massive chunk of the risk away, then we could blow the logjam of user adoption into Web3.
See, that's what's impressive about it. So making the technology a lot simpler and efficient, I can envision that pretty easily. Now, making it more risk tolerant, that sounds very interesting from a wallet. How did you approach that? What differences did you make that makes it more, or should I say less risky?
Exactly.
More risk tolerant.
What I found is that the biggest risk factor is having centralized components.
Okay.
So, and by that I mean, obviously it's either, in one sense, centralized means it's owned by one person or one corporation or one government. But really, in this sense, in the tech sense, centralized, I'm saying, means it needs human beings in the mix to make it run.
Okay.
right? When you have centralized exchanges, there are still humans involved.
No, of course.
In that process. And also, what really fascinates me is that in DeFi and basically in decentralized, if you have different assets on different chains,
correct,
and you want to use these assets over here to buy an asset over there, you got to use like a bridge or an oracle or
wormhole.
Exactly. And the problem is a lot of those are centralized. In other words, they have human beings in the mix.
Right. There's also security risk at
Well, that's the problem. That's what I'm getting to. That's the point, because it used to be 90% of all cybersecurity breaches were due to employee error,
yes,
mostly social engineering. Mm-hmm. But now, because of AI and deepfakes, it's now 95%.
Really?
Because of employee error. So, by definition, if you can take the human beings out of the system, guess what you've done? You're taking 95% of the attack vector and throwing it away.
You're moving it out of.
In other words, if you make it more like a Fort Knox vending machine, where there's nobody behind the counter that you have to trust to do the right thing, or trust that they're not going to get socially engineered and tricked and all of your data, maybe your money stolen,
yes,
or maybe they don't like the way you look or the color of your skin or the way that you vote and they do something wrong. By definition, if you can take the human being out of the mix of the machine, you've removed 95% of the cybersecurity breach factor. That's not a little improvement.
No,
that is a massive improvement. And so at the end of the day, this infrastructure enables true cross-chain operations, all in a trustless, decentralized way without the need for any bridges or oracles or proofs.
Wow.
It's revolutionary.
No, and it sounds like you also systematically take care of something without even thinking about it. Sounds like you prevent some people from being, in a sense, debanked. Like there's no way now
That's right.
to remove or say you can no longer use this wallet or this centrally controlled system anymore, because there's no one that can implement, say, hey, you don't like your politics or the way you look, and I'm going to remove you out of the system.
That's exactly right. Look what happened. I mean, it's like Jamie said earlier, the president of the United States was debanked,
yeah,
was deplatformed. It's like, if it can happen to the president, it can happen to anybody.
It's true.
Right? I mean, look at the name of this event, right? You had,
you had
Reddit come down and say, I mean, how crazy is that, where literally a content creator creates something on a platform and then the platform says they own it. It's sort of like, imagine if Mr. Beast, wants to go somewhere else and YouTube's like, wait a minute, we own that. That's crazy. I can't believe Reddit's doing that, but they are. But that's just another problem with centralized systems.
Correct.
They own the rails. They own everything. So that's why I'm so passionate about, from a libertarian standpoint but also from a control standpoint. I believe the control ought to remain in the individual and in the community, and not by not by a third party that most likely has very different interests.
For sure. What's funny is that Reddit seems to be, and I guess seems to be, one of those safe places that a lot of people go to voice their opinions. People have their opinions about Reddit. People have their opinions about X and what the platform does or does not let you do. And funny enough, you come here and people have a lot of complaints about X, and then now Reddit is the one that's actually involved in using their namesake or something that someone else developed on their channel and now saying, no, you can't legally use this. So nobody is except from the rule. When you're apparently big enough or powerful enough, you always want to put your thumb on the scale at every moment you can.
That's exactly right. I think, as they say, ultimate power corrupts ultimately, right? So it's correct. Like they're going to use it, right? So that's why if the real question is, can we do better? Can we build a system? So what we are doing is Wire Wallet is where we are aiming to make things as easy as a Coinbase or a Kraken, right? Where it's a centralized system. That's why they can make it easy, because they have human beings in the mix. Correct. It's not decentralized. But the problem is when you forfeit that decentralization and go to a centralized system, you forfeit and give up all of your control, all of your power. That means your account can get locked. They can take away the buy button. They can cancel you. They can take your creations. I mean, to me, that's a price tag way too high. So really the question is, can we do better? Can we build a decentralized Coinbase, a decentralized Venmo, a decentralized Robinhood. And I say we can't.
I think we can.
And that's exactly what we are building.
You know, I think we're doing it now. I think you're doing it now. I think that the age of innovation now has come to where the point is that people are looking for. So Vay up there, proud, she was a speaker. She said that people are mostly lazy. I don't think it's about laziness. I think it's about, like anything, convenience. People want to driverless
ease
cars.
of use. It's user experience, right?
Correct. The simpler, the better. If I can, you got your 80 plus year grandmother. If I can get my 10-year-old to just look at it and say, this makes sense as well, now I think you've captured both ends. That's the simplicity in onboarding somebody, and simplicity for somebody that's used to doing certain things a certain way, and then changing their mentality to be able to access that seamlessly. That's the future that you're building. I love it.
Exactly. That's why, Facebook beat MySpace. User experience.
Yes.
That's why Robinhood beat E-Trade. User experience. Over and over again. User experience is everything. Well, not everything, but it is table stakes. It's not everything because remember, now, if your only choice is you don't do anything or you get a better user experience, of course, that's why these centralized platforms have won. But now the point is, can we give as easy, as simple a user experience that truly everybody can use and at the same time leave control in their hands because of a decentralized architecture, trustless, and also removing most of the risk, because if you can take the human beings out of these machines, keep them more like fortified vending machines that, the only thing you got to trust in a fortified vending machine is that you put your token in, you get your item out.
You get your item out.
Nobody, no employee in there can get swindled or not like you or do the wrong thing.
What about, so that's a good point. What about when the vending machine gets stuck? How about that? What happens if since you've taken out all the human factors out of it, what occasion would it be if, say, like you said, that vending machine gets stuck? What happens if there's an error or something happened in the middle of a transaction, somebody's internet turned off? It could be a million factors that I had personally not thought about. What happens when something like that occurs?
Sure. Well, then it matters on how well that vending machine has been constructed and engineered. So if that machine has been constructed such that there is a fail-safe where it's more like atomic transactions where it'll only accept the coin once it knows for sure that it will fully transact until it takes the money. So there are ways, but you're right. But it really matters on how well that has been constructed. But of course, just like any decentralized system, it will still have upgrades, right? It'll still be maintained. But the point is, people's data is not in a centralized database that can be hacked and stolen.
Or used or accessed or sold.
Or sold or any nefarious purpose.
Correct.
Exactly.
Wonderful. Dave, I love what you're building, actually. I'm a big fan of Wire Wallet. I look forward to everything that you're going to be constructing. I think the future is going to be bright. What do you think for 2026 is the most important thing that you would like your company to do? What is, if you had one thing singly alone, in just a few words, what do you think would be the most important thing in 2026 you can accomplish?
I want to invite the world to come into Web3. So come on in, the water's warm.
I like that.
And because, get over that, because there's a lot of fear out there.
Yes.
People have heard that, that's risky, and it's true. In the past, a lot of people have had their wallets drained, their accounts hacked, locked, etc. All of that's true.
Very true.
But that doesn't mean we're just leaving it that way. We are truly transforming everything with these amazing, well-engineered, decentralized, trustless systems that take away 95% of that security vector and make it easy enough for everyone to use. Because the value that Web3 adds is absolutely incomparable. I mean, there's a reason why the entire financial world is being transformed by Web3 technology. It opens value that the TradFi world never dreamed of.
Absolutely.
So I want to see the rest of the world take advantage of this. We're going to have AI agent integration that helps people invest and make money while they sleep. Remember what Warren Buffett said, if you don't make money while you sleep, you will work till you die.
It's very true.
That's something that I can't wait to help people earn money while they sleep.
Absolutely.
And do it safely, securely, and knowing that they are in control of their assets.
I love that. I love the way you ended it. Earning money safely, securely, and while you sleep. At the end of the day, that's what a lot of people want to do, generate wealth and provide a platform that's safely to construct on and safely to transact on. And again, global, universal,
Exactly.
Less likely to be
Take
hacked
away,
or debanked.
you know, literally, because we're compatible with everything, you no longer have to worry or even think about what blockchain an asset is on. Just like
Very true.
your Web 2 user should never have to worry and doesn't worry about what cloud provider is hosting their web application or their website.
You know what?
Isn't that crazy to think about? But that's the exact analogy today in decentralized wallets. There are certain wallets that are only compatible with these chains, and then other wallets that are compatible with those chains, but there's none until now that are compatible with all of
the
them.
chains.
That's right.
Amazing. Interoperability is extremely important. And the more that you have, the seamless it'll be. Thank you very much for everything that you're doing in this space, and we look forward to having you here again. Hey, thanks, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.